got a piece of 2x6, and I do have that book full of projects, which means I got an idea. Well, in that case, let's get started.
I began by using a French curve. It's one of the most simplest tools, especially for making nice curves, and that's what I used to make the outline of the ship. Now, the rest of it is easy. Freehand, couple of circles, and it's beginning to look like a top of a battleship. Spray a decent amount of adhesive. Let it sit for a little bit until it becomes partly tacky. Then apply it to the surface. This will save you a lot of time later on when you have to peel it, which means you don't have to scrape it or sand it. It'll come right off. Most of the adhesive will actually stay on the paper. I took my time to cut it on the bandsaw. I was not looking for a perfect job since it was going to require a lot of sanding later on. I had set the disc sander at about a 15-degree offset, so this way it will give me the contour that I need to give the profile. At this particular point, I was trying to figure out where I'm going to set some of the gun turrets, and I also used a hole saw. Best way to make holes and wheels is do half of one side and then flip the board around and then do the other half. I am beginning to cut one of the decks. It's going to have 3 decks, and these holes are going to be where the turrets are going to stay and turn.
Hey everybody, there's going to be a lot of sanding. Right now I have the outline of a battleship. I'm making a battleship, and I'm making the gun turrets out of these circles. So it's going to be a nice little project after it's done. I think it's going to turn out all right. But what I do want to make out of it is a pull behind for a child, and yet, well, make it into a puzzle. So this way you can actually pull it apart and put it back together again. So that's what I'm going to do. I just want to increase the nose just a little bit to give it a little bit more of a profile. So I'm going to glue this right now, and then I'm going to do a little bit more sanding. And after that, I'm going to start cutting more pieces to start putting it together to take shape with a couple of wheels. So that's where we are so far. So, well, let's keep it going. All right? All right.
I am taking careful measure and at the same time trying to line up the front profile of the ship. I did not change the 15 degrees on the disc sander. This made it a lot easier to go back and line everything up and give a nice profile on the bow of the ship. We are working on the second deck. We are trying to give it a nice profile to give it a little bit more realistic where the chimney or the stack of the ship is going to be. It didn't take too long at all. It's coming out really, really good at this point.
Well, hey folks, welcome to another episode of Just Sanding. You know, you can make all the pieces as best as you can, but if you don't sand them, they really do not look good, to say the least. And we're going to start sanding to get most of the pieces ready so we could actually start to paint and then go for assembly. So with no further ado, well, let's go do a little bit of sanding, okay?
I decided to put wheels on the boat. Now we're going to work on the rear axle wheels, and this is how we put it together. To make things more easy, I decided to make the front wheel so it could swivel. This way the boat can turn right to left as it's being pulled. At this particular point, I'm working on the assembly. I'm cutting the pieces. In a little while, you will be able to see how the front wheel is going to look once it's completely assembled.
Hey, I start some of the assembly. Basically, this is actually the chimney, and I put a pin in here. So we're actually going to put in the pin right onto the chimney right now. I'm going to line it up nice. Make sure that it's facing the right way. And there you go. We're going to take this moment and we're actually going to put the rear carriage on before we actually paint it and put it together. That's the next step. I decided to put some wheels on it. A simple design is just a simple wheel that it is actually going to be turning right to left as you pull it. So this way it steers itself. And we're almost ready to start putting it together.
I'm going to do something completely different. I want to give it a two-tone and keep part of it Battleship gray and the other part a real wooden tone. And I think it's going to look good. I'm trying something different for the first time. Let's see the outcome. Not bad. The wood grain finish and the Battleship gray really complements itself. Putting on the finishing touches to the wheels. How sweet it is.